Alright guys, Mastermind Tech here with another video. So in today's video I'm actually going to be doing a VR/budget gaming rig. I do currently own a Oculus DK2. I do plan on getting an Oculus Rift S soon. So this will come in very handy. This will allow me to change rooms in which the VR is in, and it would also allow me to take it over to somebody's house if we wanted to play it over there. So in a lot of these parts I have gotten from a lot of different places, eBay, yard sales, friends, stuff like that. I'll actually put the price that I paid for the stuff over here. But in this video I'm actually going to be showing the build process of building this computer and then how it runs for gaming. I don't currently have the Oculus Rift S to be able to show that, but this rig will definitely work out really well for it. So stay tuned for the rest of the video for the build. Alright guys, so let me show you a couple of the pieces that I have for this build here. So first I'm going to be using is a 64-bit driver kit by iFixit. Really do enjoy this. I got some tweezers here. Oh wait, never mind, these are zip ties. I do have a knife to open up the boxes. Do have a pair of snips to snip these zip ties once I get them down. A screwdriver. And then thermal paste, since my fan doesn't have any thermal paste on it. So let's go ahead and get this started. I'm going to start by opening up all of these boxes. So before I get started on everything, I do like to open up all my packages beforehand. This here is going to be a 120 gig SSD. This is going to be 16 gigs of RAM of Corsair Vengeance RAM. 1600 megahertz, pretty much whatever I could get for this build. 1600. This is very decent. It's an older machine, so only has 2 RAM slots. This is going to be an Intel i7 4770K, and this is going to be Matx board. It only has the 2 RAM slots. I got this off of AliExpress. So yeah, that's that. Got a 1 terabyte hard drive. Intel stock heatsink, just because it's what I had laying around. I got a set of RGB fans from Amazon. I do believe that only 2 of these worked. I got them from a friend. One of them didn't work, the LEDs, so mine only used 2 of these. This is a Logitech Mouse. It's one of the MMO gaming mice. This is a couple more fans. These are not the fans that are in the box, but these are another set of fans just in case I need more fans. These are just my extra fans that I have laying around. This is going to be a RX 580 by MSI. And then I got, there's going to be some LEDs that are going to go on the inside of the computer. I do have a USB header to internal USB, so I can run these to the inside since they use a USB end. And then I have a Thermaltake 600 watt power supply. I know this one works. I've had it for a while. It was in one of my other computers, but I'm going to pull it out and put it into this unit. So let's get started. I'm going to start by opening up the case and getting all this stuff out of the box if I'm going to use it. Alright, so this is going to be the case here. This is going to be the Cooler Master Q300. Comes with fan filters that go onto the front and the top. This is a really nice case for being an Matx case. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this plastic side panel piece. Alright, once that is removed, I am going to remove the other side piece as well. Alright, I'm going to take that side panel off as well. Alright, so that is going to be the case open. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the IO shield for my motherboard, and I'm going to put that in first. Goes straight into the back of the case, back here, but from the inside. Just snaps right into place. Alright. I'm going to undo the bag of goodies that's on the inside here. Take all of that out. It's going to be your screws for the case, and then there's the silica pack. We can toss that. So that's going to be the screws for the case. Going to wire these wires through the back of this case. Alright. Alright. So now I gotta get out the screws for the motherboard. The ones from the case bag. Go ahead, I'm gonna open that up. Alright, so in this case here, it does look like that it has 1 and 2 of the motherboard risers, but I actually need to add one over here and over there as well to be able to support this motherboard. So I'm going to go ahead and take the ones that came with the computer case, and I'm going to put them in there using my iFixit toolkit. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. So for this, we're going to want to make sure that we find the right bit to get these motherboard screws in there, and I do believe that it is this one. Try to fit the end into it. Yep, that's the correct one. So just got to make sure that I put these motherboard screws in the same spot they are on this motherboard. So on this motherboard, I have 3 on this side. So 1, 2, 3. And I have 3 on this side. 1, 2, 3. Just got to make sure they line up with the ones that are inside of the case. So I have now installed all of the motherboard risers into this case here to be able to mount this board. So all you have to do is just make sure you stick in the board and make sure it lines up with the IO shield in the back. That's how the motherboard would go in there. So now all you have to do is screw in the screws. The motherboard screws onto the riser that we put in there. Alright, let's go ahead and do it. Alright, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to install some of this thermal paste. So we go ahead and pop the cap out the end, and we're just going to put just a little bit onto the heatsink, just like that. The heat spreader on the processor. And we're going to just take the Intel stock heatsink. All of this just goes right into here, and then just each corner just press in. It should click just like that, and make sure you do diagonally so it's even pressure. We're gonna go ahead and just plug this in up here, and then we're gonna install the RAM. So for the RAM, all you're gonna do is you're gonna line up this notch with the notch that's right here on the motherboard. So here the smaller notch is up here, so that's gonna line up with the smaller notch that's up here at the top. Make sure that these clips are both pulled back if your motherboard does have them. And then we're just going to push it in. I'm going to do the same thing with the other stick. Alright, just like that. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install the power supply, which installs down here at the bottom. So for this part, I'm going to be installing the power supply down here. So grab the power supply, Usually whenever I do power supplies, I like to do them upside down so the fan is towards the bottom. And then on this case, the screws that screw it in are actually here in the back. They're going to be down in here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take these 4 screws off and take that bay out and then screw it directly into it and then screw the power supply into it. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, and then on top of this power supply, when you line this up, there are going to be a couple of screws that need to go in here. So I am going to go ahead and install them in here, 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 and here. So go ahead and do that, and I would make sure put all 4 in before you tighten them all down. I normally go diagonal so that I make sure that everything lines up better when you're trying to put in these screws. Some of these screws can be kind of a pain in the butt to put in. Alright, so I got all 4 of these screws in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten them down. Alright, and then once I've tightened them down, they need to go into the back of the case so that all 4 of these screw holes will line back up so I can install it back into the back of the case. Alright, so go ahead and flip this around. So on the back of the case here, it looks like we have, this is going to be where the full-size hard drive mounts. So that's going to be this 1 terabyte drive. It's going to mount here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this screw off and I'm going to screw this into it. So this is going to be the metal plate. We're going to go ahead and make sure all these holes line up to the back of this. It's going to line up just like that. You can see how the holes line up here. So we're going to go ahead and screw this into this plate. Alright, so after screwing that back in, we're just going to line it back up and we're going to screw it back into here. Just going to line that back up and then just screw this in. Alright, so once that's secured, now we got to locate where the SSD goes. SSD should go here. Yeah. So the SSDs look like that they mount just like this on the case using these long screws like this. I guess they screw into it and then it just slides into it. So we're going to go ahead and try that. We're going to need to grab the little rubbery bits that go onto the end of this. They were also included in the bag. Alright, so we're going to take these rubbery bits, we're going to put them into the ends of this and then screw it into the SSD. And the SSD is going to mount just like this. Either here or it could mount just down here as well. Probably do it down here actually, it probably would look better. So I'm going to mount it down here with these 4 holes. So the screw will go in just like this, where the screw will go into the rubber piece so that when the rubber piece is actually screwed in, it will slide directly into here. So we'll go ahead and we'll install that into the SSD itself. Alright, so on these screws, you don't want to actually tighten them all the way down. You want to be able to slide this in, and then you're going to tighten it from the other side of this case. So I'm going to go ahead and slide it in, and then turn it around and tighten it. So how the hard drive would mount is it's going to just go straight in there, and then just slide right over. And that's how easy that is to install. Now I just got to flip it around and tighten it from the other side. We'll tighten these 4 screws in here so that we make sure that that SSD is nice and secured in there. Alright, so that's going to be the SSD. So the next thing to install would be the fans. So I'm going to probably mount 2 fans to the front and probably mount 2 fans to the top. I'm going to go ahead by installing 2 on the front. Alright, so these RGB fans that I have here, I have 3 of them. I know all of them work, but I know only 2 of the RGBs work. They do come with this controller, and then they also come with a remote in order to control the lights. So I'm going to install them and hope that the 2 I put on top are the ones that work with the LEDs. I don't really care about the ones in the top so much, I just want the RGB through the front. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to install these right now. Alright, so I'm just going to use these fan screws that I have in order to screw the fans into the front of this. Alright, so now I have all 3 fans installed. Now I'm going to need to install the controller for these fans. So with that, the back of this had a double-sided sticky tape on it, so it should still stick. So I'm going to just stick it right here. And then I'm just going to have to power it through Molex. So while I'm back here, I'm going to plug in all of the fans. Alright, so with all the fans installed, these 2 fans, and I installed 1 fan on the top, next thing to do is to plug in all of the motherboard cables. So first I'm going to plug in the 24 pin and the 4 pin up here on the top of the case. It's going to be up here at the top, that 4 pin there, the 24 pin here with the ones that are corresponding with it on the end of this power supply. These 2 cables here. So this 8 pin splits into 2 4s, so that's going to be what plugs into the 4 pin on the motherboard up there. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I am going to plug that right into the 24 pin right here on the board. Alright, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this 8 pin, which is going to be split into 2 because this motherboard uses a 4 pin. So I'm going to go ahead and shove that through the back as well. So up here in the top of this case, there's actually a small hole that this 8 pin connector here is actually going to fit through. So I'm going to go ahead and shove it through there in order to bring it through the other side. So once I bring that 8 pin through, I'm going to go ahead and plug it directly into the board. Alright, and there is it, plugged into the board, that 24 pin. Alright, next thing to do is to plug in both of the hard drives. The hard drives are both in the back of the case. So I'm going to route the SATA power cable, which is going to be this cable here, the one that has these ends on it like this, are going to be routed to the back and plugged into both of the hard drives. Both hard drives plugged in, so next thing I need to do is to plug them in with their SATA cables. So in this case I can use a right angle one for this one. Then I also have a flat one for the other one. Alright, and then once I plug both of the SATA cables in, one end is plugged here, the other is plugged in down here where my figure can't really show. Right down here. And then I got to plug them into the motherboard. So I plug them into the motherboard. We're done through here. So I'm going to route the cable through to the other side. And then I'm going to just make sure that I put, these ones are all labeled. So SATA 2 is going to be over here. This is SATA 1. So I'm going to put the secondary hard drive into SATA 2. Should be just like that. The other hard drive will be plugged into SATA 1. I'm going to route it through the back and then route it back out through here. so once I have that one plugged in there, both hard drives are going to be installed. Next thing I need to do is route one of these Molex cables. This is going to be this cable here, the Molex cable, through the back for the fans that are on here. I'm going to also route this one through the back, which is going to be the power cable for the graphics card. I also need to cut this bit off because this graphics card actually uses an 8-pin, so don't need to cut that. But I'm going to route that through the back, and I'm going to bring it out right through this hole to be able to plug into the graphics card. And then once all the cables are through here, now I have to route the front header, which is going to be this here, and then run the audio header, which is going to be back here. This motherboard sadly doesn't come with USB 3, even though the case is USB 3 on the front of it. I have to get a converter that converts it down to USB 2. So for now, I won't be able to use these. Don't have the converter. But I'm going to be plugging the front end. I'm going to be plugging front audio here, and then front header up here. So let me go ahead and route that. Alright, so these ones here are going to be the front header. I'll put a diagram up on the screen for this standard front header. If you guys are curious as to how the header normally goes. Each one of these are generally labeled on the back side what they are. I'll put the diagram up so you guys can see what that says on how to plug this in. The standard way to do it. Not all motherboards are exactly the same, but most of them are. Alright, and then once I have all them front headers, just got to do the audio one over there. I'll go ahead and I'm going to route this through. And it's just going to plug directly into the back here. Alright, just like that. Alright, and so one of the next things I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this in here. So I decided with this, so this is going to be a USB header to an internal USB. So I'm able to plug in this RGB strip that I have. I got this from the dollar store. It only was actually $2, but it has USB. So it'll make it so I don't need to route this USB to the outside. So I'm going to be putting this strip in here as well. Alright, so I'm going to take that USB cable and I'm going to actually take one of the ends, the one that goes into the motherboard, and actually plug it into this USB 2 header right here. Alright, that's going to be plugged in there. And the only thing I need to do is just route the LED, and I'm going to plug it in here in order to give it LEDs to this case. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, and this RGB strip actually has sticky stuff on the back, so I'm going to use that to stick it onto the inside, and I'm going to wrap it around the case. Alright, and then once I have that strip in there, alright, I routed this strip all the way around the outside, all the way up and around, down through the back. It is on this fan, but it won't interfere with it. All the way down and around, and then I did bring it back here. There's some access. I can always cut it if I do want. If it does look bad, I'll probably just cut it. But so that's what that looked like. Alright, so all I got to do now is insert the graphics card, which I have to take this off here, take this off, and I'm going to take these two pieces off, and I'm going to slide the graphics card in. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so this case has these breakaway ones, so you have to kind of wiggle them a few times. Good side note is if you do this before the case is the motherboard's in, sometimes the motherboard can interfere. On this case, I'm glad that it actually doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out and insert the graphics card. Alright, now both of them are out. So now I'm going to take my graphics card here, and I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to go ahead and just slip it into the slot. So this part here, this metal piece, is actually going to line up with the long piece on the board. So I'm going to go ahead and have to tilt it a bit to get it into the case. So I'm just going to line it up with it in the back. This fan came unplugged somehow. Alright, just make sure that the clip on the back here is open, like on mine it is. It's normally closed, it's open. Go ahead and take this, and we're going to stick it inside of that. Then you're going to give it a little bit of a push. Alright, so that graphics card is in now. So now I need to take 2 screws and screw it in here, and then screw this metal piece back on. So let me go ahead and do that. So actually on this case, you have to actually put this on first, and then you screw the screw into this that goes into that. So go ahead and screw this screw in, and then those two. Alright, so next thing to do is plug in the 8-pin power cable for this that I routed through the back, routed up here into the front to plug this in, and then all I have to do is just do cable management on the back. So let's plug that in. Alright, so other than that, the build is complete. Now I have to turn it around and I'm going to have to do the cable management in the back. Alright guys, now is the moment of truth. Let's go ahead and power it on. Alright, booted up into BIOS, which is a good thing. It does look like one of my fans in here is RGB, but the other one is not. Yeah, you can see one fan RGBing on the front, but the rest is not. So, don't know what happened with that. I'm going to go ahead and unplug the back and then try to see if I can plug them back in. But for now, I'm going to install Windows. So next thing I got to do is install Windows. So I always keep Windows on a flash drive. Best way to get it, if you look up Media Creation Tool, it'll show you how to do it. I'm going to go and plug that in the back, reboot this, and then install Windows. Alright guys, so this is going to be the end of the first part of this video. I'm going to split it up into 2 parts. The first part is going to be me doing the build, since the video was very long. The second part is going to be me doing the benchmarks, and then basically the normal talking over of the computer and then the looks of it. So yeah, if you want to stay tuned for the second part to this, I'll go ahead and I'll link it in the description below. And yeah, if you guys don't mind checking that out for me. If you guys like the video, please like the video. If you guys want to put a comment in the bottom down below, giving me any ideas for future videos, or if you guys have anything that I should improve on. If you guys haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. It'd help out very much. But alright guys, see you in part 2. If not, see you guys next time. Peace!